Hola, Espanol estudiantes, and welcome to second semester of Spanish. Today I'm going to walk you through your Spanish course to make sure that you are feeling comfortable about all the things that are going to be a part of your Spanish course. I want to walk through how your course is going to look a little bit different this semester than it did last semester, and I want to help you feel confident in answering any questions that you might have. When you first log into your Spanish course, each of you will have a Spanish banner that is specific to your course. Right now I'm in High School Spanish 1B. Some of you will be taking Middle School Spanish 1B. Some of you will be taking High School Spanish 2A. All of you, however, will have a banner here that tells you what class that you are in. The same class that you are in where it says in your banner will also be labeled right here, and you will always be able to see that. I call this the left-hand navigation menu, you guys, because this is where we do all of our navigating, okay? Now, when you first log into your course, the first thing you're going to see is your announcement page. This is going to be the first announcement for you guys when you log in when second semester starts. You'll have announcements periodically throughout your semester, okay? So I will always send these announcements to you in an email format as well. Just know that any image or any video that is a part of these announcements does not come through on email when I send out an email notification that an announcement has been posted. So my kind of end in mind is that when you get the announcement email, just go right to your announcement page for that class, and then you'll be able to see all that I put into all of our announcements. When you log in to your Spanish class, you'll see your announcements first, and then really, guys, your Spanish calendar is going to be your best friend. There's a lot of different ways that you can view your calendar. This is the month view here, and you can kind of get a breakdown of what your whole month looks like. Some people like that as far as like thinking long term or with an end in mind for the week. Remember, you can decide exactly what calendars you want to be listed here. So what I have a lot of people do is choose all 6 of their class calendars that they have here and either just look at the week view of those calendars, or even just the day view of those calendars, so you can see what you need to do for that day in all 6 of your classes. For this particular course, High School Spanish 1B, if you choose the week view of the calendar here, you can see that each day has a label, right? And I labeled that at the beginning of your day so you guys can know what's coming up. But we can't see that label without clicking on it like this, right? So if you prefer to just look at things one day at a time, you can go to the day view, which is this right here, and you can see that for your High School Spanish 1B class on Monday, January 23, what you need to work on today is this thing called starting second semester, okay? So where do I find starting second semester? Well, if you notice, again, right back to that left-hand navigation menu, I have the session laid out for you right here. If you notice, the session is labeled en Español, porque esa es la clase de Español, ¿sí? And this is session 1, 23 de enero a 9 de febrero, right? The 23rd of January to the 9th of February. If you click on that session, just like in all of your core classes, guys, your work for those weeks are broken down into the weeks in a part of that session, okay? And if you ever get lost, notice here that each week is labeled by the date. So if you have to ask yourself, hang on a second, what week are we in? Think about what the date is, okay? So again, I was looking at January 23, right? That's what the label was for on the calendar here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on week 1. And oh by golly, once I click on week 1, look at what you see here. Starting out second semester. That's what the label on the calendar said, right? And not only that, but look at this folder has January 23 in it. So that's what I would do the first day, okay? And actually this video that I'm currently recording right now is actually going to be in that folder. So that's what you would see when you click into that folder. Now if you go back to the calendar, I'm going to go back to the day view, and I'm just going to move to Tuesday, January 24. Okay, if you notice on Tuesday, January 24, that's when you're going to start your first unit. Okay, now I know it says Unit 19, but that's because this is a continuation of Spanish 1, right? So your first unit is going to be Unit 19, and on Tuesday, January 24, for this particular high school Spanish 1B class, they are going to start Lesson 1. So where do I find Unit 19, Lesson 1? Well, I find it here in the session coursework, just like in your core classes. I click on Session 1. I see that there are 3 weeks in Session 1, but I'm looking for January 24's work. That's what it said on my calendar. So I'm going to click on Week 1, because that's where January 24 falls in right here. And look at right here, it says Lesson 1 for January 24. When I click on that lesson, I see I'm in Unit 19, Lesson 1, and these are all of the things that I'm going to have to do in my first lesson. Now, at first glance, guys, this might look like a lot to you, but really a lot of these are just one slide each, okay? Anytime you start a new lesson, you're going to start with the objectives. And if you open it up, you see a one slide thing here that just talks about what you're going to learn in this entire unit. Every unit has 5 lessons into it, so these objectives are really just giving you a kind of end in mind and preparing you for what these next 5 lessons are going to be about. So dudes who are in Spanish 1B, you're going to talk about números to express variety. You're going to learn about profesiones, so different professions, and you're going to start la cultura de Argentina, okay? One thing that is so great about this course is that anytime you want something read to you, all you have to do is click on this button right here, and it will read it out to you. Now, instead of clicking back, to get to the next thing, all you have to do is go back to that first thing that we clicked on, Unit 19, Lesson 1, right? And then we're right back to the list of things we have to do for this day. Every time we start a new unit, you are going to get a vocabulary guide, just like this one here. I love this vocabulary guide so much, you guys, because it breaks down your vocabulary really nicely that you're going to use for the whole unit. You are able to click on the audio and hear the vocabulary word here, but you are also able to print off this vocabulary list with their translations to keep in your Spanish notebook. What I would suggest is anytime you come up to this vocabulary list in any of your units, I would write down each of these words either in a flashcard format or in your notebooks so that you can not only start to learn these vocab words, but your brain can start connecting these words to their English translations. And as you're translating these either onto flashcards or into your notebooks, guys, if ever you need help, you can click on the print button here and you can see, oh, el dentista is a dentist. El bombero is a firefighter. And you can use this to kind of be your reference tool, okay? After you do that, you go back to the lesson that you did today and you go into the next part. So we're just working our way down the list, okay? Again, a lot of these things are just one slide, so you'll have to click back, read the slide, click back, and read the slide, but it will help us feel accomplished, right, as we go down that larger checklist. These are the instructions for the vocabulary intro. Now, this is just the introducción, so really you're just getting your brain wrapped around. And again, my suggestion would be to listen to the audio as you read through this here. After you go through la introducción, you go back to your list of things to do for that day. And then this is where it gets fun. This way of doing Spanish is all about interaction. It is all about having you guys have to click and hear and read and understand using as many of your 5 senses as possible. Probably not taste at this point yet. So this is going to be just a warm-up to get your brains ready to actually do the vocabulary gains that we have for this first lesson. Remember, I go back to the lesson by clicking up here every time I want to go down to the list. Now, this you can see looks different than the other things that we had, right? We've got colorful tiles up here, images down here, Up here is Espanol, down here is Inglés, and then I have some things up here that I'm going to talk about in a second. Pay attention to these buttons up here because they weren't in our other things. So the directions are drag each Spanish word to its corresponding picture, okay? And so el arquitecto is the first thing. Remember, if you ever need any help, the audio button is here for you to choose. And what your job is to do is literally drag and drop each Spanish word that corresponds with its English translation and foto that is here, okay? El artista. El atleta is an athlete, okay? But I'm going to show you what it looks like if you put one of these vocabulary words on the wrong tile. When you have all of these done, here, I'll just quick do this a second. Okay, so these two right here, amigos, these are incorrect. When you have put all of your tiles on the matching game, this button up here is the Submit Answers button. When you click on that, look at what happens. It tells you what you got here, and it tells you that these two things were incorrect. So I have to say, oh, I did put that on the wrong tile. I'm going to go back and do that again and submit my answers again. And look, it says, good job, you got 8 out of 8, okay? If you ever want to restart and start over and maybe practice again, you can click this restart button, or any other like tools or kind of tricks of the trade or tips will show up here, okay? And this is kind of how each lesson, guys, is going to look. You're going to go through your list of things today. And remember, we require at least 1 hour of work, or on average 1 hour of work a day in your foreign language class. So that list might look like a lot, but it really is worth that hour of time per day in your course. When you come to things in your Spanish course called Speaking Labs, right here is where you listen to the directions and you can record yourself right here inside of this Speaking Lab, okay? Again, you submit your answers here up top. This is how I get your recordings and I can go back and listen to them. If you ever want to start over, you can click the restart here. Or if you ever want to have any tips or tricks or just FYIs, you can click here. As you work your way through the list, you will be getting closer and closer to finishing your work for that day. Don't forget, as you work your way through the list, to make sure you're always choosing the Submit Answer button here. What I love about this Spanish program is that it is so interactive. If you look at even this listening and reading activity that you have here, me gusta mucho el arte, quiero ser una artista. You can drag and drop all of that here. And when you drag and drop it, it doesn't let you have this as an option anymore. So it is super interactive. And again, you can always check your work here to make sure that you're good. Notice how la artista stays here, which means that is a correct answer, but I got a few more to do, okay? So when you guys get done with that lesson for the day, that means you are done with Spanish today, okay? When you want to see any comments on things that I've graded or anything like that, you'll click on this button right here, and that will be your feedback that you'll get. And any time that you need to contact me with anything, you will be able to go into the VOs, send me an email, or send me a text message so we can answer questions together. This is going to be a really fun semester, and I can't wait to work with each and every one of you. Here we go. Buenas suertes.